So this is where I say hello to everybody. This is Luxley. I have a special guest with you, my buddy Thamriyell. Thamriyell, you know what to say, right?
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Thamriyell. Welcome to a commentary about World of Warcraft.
And we happen to have some very interesting information right at our fingertips. During the Wod Beta, I went for a walk, and I came up with 10 reasons why Warlords of Draenor would fail. And now that we're 6 months from the initial launch and release, I look back at that list, and I brought in Thamriyell because I wanted someone to speak objectively and comment on some of these different ideas I had, because some of them were pretty dead on accurate, some of them really missed the mark, and some of them still may start to have some legs as we move forward. Now, none of these reasons are in any particular order, but we'll start with number 10. The average raid tier is anywhere from 3 to 4 months, maybe as much as 5 or 6 months. And as you know, ICC was 10 months, Dragon Soul was 10 months, Siege of Orgrimmar was at least 10 months, closer to 12 months of raiding, and that lends to burnout, that lends to boredom, that lends to redundancy, and people just unsub, and we've seen that trend. The fact that So was almost a year of raiding that particular tier, a lot of people were going to drop out, and that would affect how much, I guess, staying power Warlords with Draenor would have. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know, SOOs just seem to last way too long. Like, I mean, I think it lasted even longer than Cataclysm or, like, Dragon Soul.
Oh, it did.
At least Dragon Soul was fun and entertaining, and SOO, it's like, man, it's like Siege of Ads. So many ads to fight, so getting to a boss battle was like a relief. It's like, whew, finally, we get to have a little break.
Anything in a state of redundancy is going to lead to boredom, and it's going to lead to burnout. And I'm really wondering if that really is. I mean, that could very well be the case. Why we're seeing a 3 million drop in subs. I mean, because a lot of that same redundancy seems to repeat itself with the garrisons. Would you say? Would you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I actually would have to agree. Garrisons are. At first, I was very bright and chipper about it, but now that we have the garrisons, I'm starting to see, oh god, what have they done? It's getting to the point where, like, it's like at first I thought like nothing could get worse than this, and then it did, and I'm like, what do I do?
It's kind of like a poor man's version of Hearthstone, to be honest, and that this is obviously the 9th reason, garrisons. I said garrisons would fail, and my theory was that WildStar, which obviously whatever, sub-hemorrhaging, condition they have, it's found its way to Blizzard. And I felt that WildStar, one thing they did right was the player housing. They got it right. It's bigger. It's better than WoW.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody knows it. Nobody knows it because nobody plays the game. Nobody wants to be bothered with the game. They lost the trust of the subscribers, and it's really hard for them to gain it back. I'm shocked it hasn't gone free to play. Yeah, I mean, whether it's buy to play, free to play, I'm just surprised that they're not opening the accessibility of the game. And I happen to think that garrisons were a lot better than I initially had expected. If you spin the clock back towards the end of Wrath of the Lich King and you popped on the forums of MMO Champion, there were people that were parading and trumpeting for the idea of player housing in WoW. And 5 years later, Blizzard decides to listen. And they come out with garrisons because they probably felt compelled to compete with WildStar and offer garrisons. Now, I like the way they did it. My thoughts were that it was going to fail because they didn't necessarily know what to do with them. First, you could have it anywhere in Azeroth. Then they scrapped that, and then they said you could have it anywhere in Outland, 2.0, which is Draenor. And then you kind of figure that everybody's going to say, I want it in the Grand. So then they kind of figured, no, this is going to be a problem. Then they came up with a really brilliant way of kind of progressing your character with leveling and progressing your garrison in the same process, which I thought was brilliant, better than expected, innovative, fresh, new, but it's just too goddamn fucking repetitive. It really is. I mean, and now I'm seeing it as, dailies 2.0 in a Hearthstone mode. And instead of you actually going out there, you're kind of delegating someone else to go out there. It's kind of like botting your own dailies. It's just Yeah, it was innovative. Yes, it was new. Yes, it was something fresh, but I don't think it was something to really build upon. But I do think Blizzard missed the boat here, and that is customization. How great would it be to have Draenei architecture in your garrison, or Blood
Oh my
Elf,
god, I would have loved it.
or
I
Blood
swear, you're
Elf
just like pandering
architecture,
person to me with a Draenor architecture.
or old English Worgen architecture,
Oh yes, I would love that.
or even, Indian style, American Indian style Tauren architecture. I mean, they just missed the boat. And this is why 3 million people left. Instead of sending people on garrison missions, they could have sent people on dailies to open up and unlock different architectures in their garrison. That would be worth grinding dailies for. Or they could have even put it in the Blizz store if they really wanted to focus on making a little bit of extra money, because people are going to pay money for that. But they didn't decide to sell it. They didn't decide to make it a daily in-game that people could progress to. They didn't do it at all. They missed the boat.
What I kind of felt with Garrisons, when they first introduced it, like, as an announcement, like, hey, everybody's gonna have their own player fortresses, and at first, I kind of felt like that kid that's like Blizzard is the dad, and I'm the player, the kid, in the back of a car, and he says, we go to McDonald's today, and you can have whatever you want on the menu. But by the time we get there, all I get is a Big Mac. It's like, didn't you say I could have whatever I want? It's like, nope, that's what you get. Enjoy. Be happy with it. Do you want some pickles with it?
Yeah, or do you want fries?
That's kind of
with
how
that?
I felt. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt with that. Because, like, they said, oh, we're going to be able to put it anywhere in Azeroth. Then they lowered down anywhere in Warlords, Draenor, and, like, Outlands. And then they said, okay, no, just Draenor. And then you can have any buildings you want. Okay, no, just faction buildings. It's like...
But I mean, they're missing.
What the fuck?
What
the fuck? Make up your mind.
Well, I mean, they're missing when you play a game, you look at it from the perspective of the player or even the gaming company. From a gaming company perspective, they're losing so much money by not having microtransactions to charge people for the architecture. And from a player standpoint, they're missing so much of an opportunity of true progression to go out there and do a quest chain or cover a zone in order to unlock different architectural types in your garrison.
Oh,
They're missing the boat completely. And quite honestly, I don't think it's that difficult to do. It's just kind of copy and paste kind of thing. I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is also lending into customization of things, and that is the new character models. I actually saw this as a bad thing in the sense that I kind of felt that it was kind of a premise. I kind of felt it was a preface, kind of laying the groundwork for more microtransactions to come. In other words, brown orcs, leper gnomes, iron dwarfs, high elves, all different types of subclasses that people could pay for to the good old Blizz store, microtransactions. I really felt that these upgraded character models were going to be a precursor to that. And they're not. And now I kind of want them to be, just so we can have more customization in the game. You spend so much time upgrading these character models, and most of them look good. We'll find one that we love, we'll find one that we hate, and the other ones we really like. That's a pretty good thing to sign off on. First, I kind of saw like people were going to be choked to death with microtransactions for sub-races, but now I kind of wish it happened.
Well, personally, at first I was kind of thinking that, hey, introducing new races would definitely, like, give them maybe ideas for microtransactions. I could say, you want more hairstyles for your Blood Elves, you can pay $2 on the Blizz store and get more hairstyles for your Blood Elf, or whatever, for your Orc, anything. It definitely was a great window for microtransactions, because, I mean, hey, we're getting pretty models, why not add something to them? But overall, I really like the models. Overall, they're pretty great. I kind of had a gripe with the Blood Elves. The fact that they didn't come out at the release of the expansion, I think that's bullshit. They should have no reason to not have them at the beginning of the expansion. No reason whatsoever. I mean, hell, even Pandaria was originally an April Fool's joke, and yet they made that expansion look beautiful and flawless, and made sure that Pandaren came out like looking good with all the hairstyles and all the faces and textures and everything. But yeah, they can't even sit down and dedicate 3 days to fucking Blood Elves. It's like, really? And right before the expansion was released, they were talking about, oh, we want to be able to add postures to orcs and trolls and Tauren and stuff. I'm like, that's great, but can we please, like, not even talk about it, not even think about it, not even put it down on paper anywhere until you finish the Blood Elves. It's like, let's say you buy yourself a board game, and then 2 of the pieces in there are broken in half, and then a month later the company's like, oh, here, we'll send you a package with those 2 pieces fixed up looking nice and shiny, you're welcome. And it's like, that's awesome, but I would have loved those pieces if they're already, you know. It's like you get yourself a brand new chess set, and then the 2 rooks on the white side are gone, they're just not even there. It's like, well, what do I do? I don't have my fucking rooks.
And the next thing you know, you have like a salt shaker as a placeholder for your rooks.
Exactly. Or you borrow white checkers to like replace them just so you can play fucking chess. It's like, can we not get the 2 rooks with us already as a package?
Well, I mean, even just talk about missing the boat and missing opportunity. You know, what Blizzard could have and probably should have done, even just from a bit, you know, because when I think of things, I think of what is fun and cool to do as a player, but I also think what's fair to Blizzard, because yes, they have to make money. They're a publicly traded company.
Yeah, they're business.
Exactly. And you have to think of what's fair to them. I mean, it's almost like, you know, if you ever listen to sports radio, you know, and you get some idiots saying, you know, calling in, and, you know, they always come up with this, you know, trade that's going to favor their team. You know, they're almost like, well, okay, here's the deal. You know, like say the Mets want to get Juan and Carlo from, you know, the Marlins. We'll give you Julio, you know, Chavez, and, you know, and Pedro Estacio, you know, 2 minor league players that are hitting 250 for, you know, Wanji and Carlo, who's probably the next stud hitter in a national league. It's not a fair trade-off. So what's fun for the players also has to be kind of profitable and, you know, have some monetary benefits to Blizzard. It just, otherwise they're not going to do it. So that's their incentive. So when I think of that, I'm like, here's something you guys could have done. You could have stuck with your regular new class or new race, one or the other, or maybe both, and you could have introduced that with Warlords, because right now that's something that's sorely missed, and people were pissed off about, me included, not having that either new race or new class, or even 4th spec. Just more customization, more additions, more choices in the game. They didn't give us much of anything, and now it's starting to show. And that's a big reason why 3 million people dropped off the face of the WoW earth. So what they should have done is do that and then hold back the character models. Because I pretty much guarantee you, if you held back the character models till 6.1 or 6.2, probably even just 6.1, I don't think that sub rate's going to drop 3 million.
Nope.
It's not. It's going to give people something to look forward to. It's going to be, yeah, they'll be pissed that they're not ready with the xpac, but they're going to be pretty damn happy with all new character models in 6.1 as opposed to the fucking selfie camera.
The fucking, just thinking of a selfie camera, just like coming in as a whole, like as a big aspect of a patch, is just, to me, it's fucking laughable. It's like, oh, you just gave us a cell phone with a camera in game so we can take pictures and post them on Twitter.
Right, and most people have a Twitter account and they have a cell phone and they know how to take a screenshot, because my 7-year-old niece knows how to do that. They're not doing it already. So what makes you think that you're going to make it a little bit easier to do?
It'd be a lot better if they released the selfie camera as an April Fool's thing and just give it as a free toy to everybody. And not make a whole patch for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, as a feature in a patch, you're giving us screenshots that we could already take. The next thing, which I strongly know for a fact, because there is only one guy that actually likes Ashran. He's out there. He leaves comments on my channel.
Poor Timmy.
Yeah,
he's just running around Ashran.
Yeah,
hunting down rogues and warlocks, and on his warrior.
Yes, exactly. And he's on his warrior with one of those super things that, you know, doubles his health and doubles his damage, and he has a pocket healer, and he thinks he's a fucking
I got an artifact, guys. Look at me. Shut up, Timmy.
Exactly. Hey, all right. You know, we all like the idea.
Sorry if anybody watching is named Timmy. We're not referring to you. We're making an imaginary Timmy.
Yeah, no, the imaginary Timmy is the wizard from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, actually. But I just knew Ashran was going to be a disaster. I really did, because depending on, no matter how you look at it, the game
It was better on the beta, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, the beta was a different experience because everybody got to go there with full gear.
And you could actually, like, load people in and, like, see everybody.
It was something that people would migrate to because it was new and different, as opposed to once they tried it and, it didn't have a way of facilitating itself as readily or easily on live. Now, no matter how you look at it, from what it was intended to be, what it is technically or strategically, it's a fucking failure. I mean, you could look at it from a technical standpoint, and Blizzard tried to do the world versus world thing and compete with Guild Wars 2 and other games that have that world versus world aspect. What seems to have been intended as a mechanism to kind of be a huge melting pot for raiders to get involved with PvP. It really, it had a lot of those raid elements in there, a lot of those things in there that kind of, like I said, served as a melting pot for typical raiders to get into PvP. But from a technological standpoint, it really turned out to be the worst of Wintergrass with the worst of Tol Barad, and it was marketed as old school AV. And when you talk old school AV and deliver the worst of Wintergrass and the worst of Tol Barad wrapped into one, you can't help but be disappointed. You just can't. I remember I went on a blind date once, and I didn't see a picture of this girl or anything, and I went up to the door, and I knock on the door, and there's this gorgeous girl, and she's like wearing sweats, and she kind of looked like Courtney Cox, and I've always had a thing for a young Courtney Cox, and I looked at her, and I looked at her and says, "Are you ready?" And she goes, "For what?" And I said, "Are you Karen?" And she's like, "No, I'm Christine." And she smiles and she lights up. "Oh, you're looking for Karen so-and-so. She lives next door." I knocked on the wrong house. I was just like, fuck Karen. I want to go out with you. But I didn't do that, But my point is, no matter what Karen looked like, it was going to be a disappointment. And that was what they kind of set up everything with WoD to be, especially Ashran. They promoted it as old school AV, and the girl you got hooked up with on the blind date was a disappointment no matter what you did. I just saw that it was going to be a way that people were going to, group up and exploit it and exploit wins because it was highly beneficial for them to do. I knew that the server imbalance would lead to long queue times or even certain factions on certain servers absolutely dominating it. I knew it was going to have technical issues. Now it seems like they've worked a lot of this out, and they're still force-feeding Ashran. I mean, it's like going to a steakhouse and saying, "Okay, I'll have a porterhouse," and they're like, "Oh, we have chicken." No, I didn't come here for chicken. I want a porterhouse steak, rare, beer, fries, whatever. Yeah, but how about some chicken? I mean, no matter, they just force-feed it to you. It's a failure. Sign off on it. Forget it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
honestly,
tell me.
If they wanted to make it seem like an old school AV, here's a thought: don't make Ashran, and just either redo AV or make another AV like 2.0.
Sure.
AV works, no matter how you put it. Even now, Alterac Valley works even at level 100. People load in, you can see everybody, and the matches start, the matches end. If you wanted to recreate old school AV, you should just made it Battleground AV 2.0 with up to 50 to 60 players per team going up against each other, maybe twice as big, with siege engines, breakable buildings, breakable towers, breakable walls.
Wow.
Should have just done that.
That would be really cool.
I know, right? That'd be incredible. But that will never happen. You missed the boat, Blizzard.
Damn, that really
Titanic has sailed.
That is an amazing idea, with breakable towers or even a blowable bridge, where you have to gather resources to rebuild the bridge, to get to the boss or something. And also, I wouldn't even have a problem with wiping off the existing AV.
Yeah.
Just simply because it greatly benefits the Alliance for many strategical reasons. If you play Horde in Alliance and you're a rogue and you want to, like, let's say you play Alliance and you want to cap a tower, all you got to do is stealth in, position yourself, pop a smoke bomb, boom, you cap it. It's not difficult. And you're not going to be hassled by any of the NPCs. If you're Horde, it's a different story. If you sneak in and you get to the node, right, even if you drop a smoke bomb or start to cap, they're all good. All they got to do is turn around and fire because you're in the line of sight of the NPCs defending that tower. That's a huge advantage for the Alliance. You add in that you have to cross a bridge in order to get to the Alliance boss. That's another huge advantage for the Alliance because you could have hunters popping explosive traps and everybody that has a knockback have all the fun in the world using those knockbacks and preventing that advance, no matter how many people there are. There are a lot of strategical advantages for the Alliance in that battleground, and I play Alliance. I really do. And not that I have a preference for it, that's just where I'm set up and how I'm, I guess, situated. The fact is, I admit, yeah, they have an advantage, and I'd like it to be fair. I want things to be fair. I don't want to walk in there like, oh, wow, I hit a triple. Meanwhile, I was born on third base. But I think that would be a brilliant idea to revamp AV, add some destructible things in there. Even make a fucking snowman. That would be cool.
Yeah. Just on the side, just pile of snow. Players can come in together and just make a fucking snowman.
Exactly. And then you could get a fire mage to melt it, and
yeah.
I don't know.
And make 2 achievements. Make a snowman, burn a snowman. Done.
Exactly. And just have it be an ongoing thing. There might never be a winner or a loser. It's just a place where you could just, like, had a bad day at work, just go in there and, screw people up, introduce the word foobar to their, vocabulary. Now you said...
Doesn't matter how you look at it, you're screwed.
You said you liked it in the beta. What did you like about it in the beta?
I liked the fact that it was small, that it wasn't populated, and the fact that you could actually see the players you're fighting instead of like now, where you could just stand in the middle of the road and out of nowhere, hey, look at that. 2 feet away from you, you just see 10, like right now, 5 Hordes loaded in. Oh, look at that, 10 more Hordes loaded in. 15 Hordes loaded in. 20 Hordes, you in the middle of them. Oh, look at that, you're dead. Where did damage come from? Nobody knows. They just loaded in and killed you.
Yeah, I'm gonna unsub. This sucks. That's what happens. Now, the 6th thing that I mentioned in this list, going back whenever, I said that the barrier to entry for new players was very difficult to penetrate, especially when you consider what WoW's target audience is, which is, a kid who's kind of like, wow, I'm into video games, but women look kind of cool too. They're getting to that stage in their life. Let's face it.
That's when the new models came around. Hot blood elves, done.
Exactly. They even found a way to make female orcs look a little bit better without alcohol, but yeah, that'll go over well. The barrier to entry is pretty huge. You talk about buying a battle chest, which now includes mobs, so I think it's like $15-20, but you got to buy Wod. That's another $60 and a $15 sub fee. It adds up. I mean, you're talking about, pulling out a solid $100 out of your wallet just to play the game, just to start the game. And that's a lot of money for, a 16, 18-year-old kid, a college kid. I think that hurts the game's growth. I think it does create a barrier to entry. What does Blizzard do? They rectify it as, oh, you can play like level 1 through 20 as a free trial. Well, who in their right mind is going to play any race or any class in any zone 1 through 20 and say, wow, this is amazing? Nobody. Yeah. Everything is the end game. Whether it's PvP or PvE, that's where the fun is. It's like, okay, we'll let you come in to see the Mets. We'll give you free tickets, but you got to sit in the parking lot. Give me a break. So, you hear the crowd cheer like, oh, something must have happened. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
But I think that this barrier to, even one of the Blizzard developers recently said in an interview, I don't remember who it was because it was kind of one of those things that somebody saw and his friend told him and that guy told me in Skype, so I don't remember who it was or whatever, but one of the Blizzard developers said that the barrier to entry is their biggest concern because it gets harder and harder to level, 1 through 80 was a monumental task, and 1 through 100 is even more of a task, even with a free 90, even with all the perks of the looms, which most new players don't have access to. Even with, the free 90, it's still a daunting task. And I think it's something that keeps people from coming back to the game. I think it's something that keeps people from playing the game. What are your thoughts on that in general?
God, I don't even want to level another character, because once I start leveling 1 through 58, it's all fun and dandy. Then I enter Outlands and I realize, oh no, oh god, I've entered the first level of hell, and I'm going to go through 7 levels of hell just to get to Draenor, then to enter another repetitive 7 levels of hell that I went through as the first 2 characters, my two paladin that I already level 100. In Based on Pandaria, I was able to level 8 paladin max. But like in Warlords of Draenor, after getting a second paladin leveled, I'm like, never again. I have so many level 90s right now, and just sitting at level 90, 91, 92, simply because I don't want to get on and do those same zones I just did. I just don't want to do it. And that's the one thing I really wanted to see from Warlords of Draenor, that I was so upset that didn't include, or didn't even consider talking about or addressing it, was changing how leveling was 1 through 90, or at least 1 through 85 at least. Because Pandaria leveling, it was fine, I don't mind it whatsoever. But like, just the leveling experience and how it feels and what it's like going from 1 to 85 is just, it's so... when you realize how bad it is after leveling so many tunes, especially in Warlords, after going from 1 to 100 in Warlords of Draenor, it is such a pain, and you realize, like, God, what am I doing? It doesn't feel like it's worth it anymore. It feels more like a waste, and it's so sad, because I want to level a rogue, I want to level a warrior, I want to level a priest, but when I think about the entire process of leveling, it's like, God, kill me, shoot me, I'm gonna go play Guild Wars 2 or ESO or something. I can't do this. I gotta swap games.
I agree with you. I mean, I have a lot of 90s. I have a lot of hundreds. I mean, I was even talking to you about the other day. I have a mage that's like level 100, but I don't want to play that mage.
Yeah.
So I had to level my human mage that's now 100. But I agree with you. Like, when they revamped everything in Cataclysm, I say catechism, I was cat, whatever. Anyway, the thing with the crazy psycho dragon, when they revamped everything 1 through 60, okay, some zones got a major overhaul, some zones, got one new quest, I mean, it was just that random. But the point is, once you got through 1 through 60 and you went through that portal and you got into Outland and you're like, oh yeah, I've been here before, oh yeah, been here, done this. Each xpac kind of reveals the blemishes of the previous xpac in many different ways. And I strongly felt that Blizzard should have revamped everything. Not just stop at Azeroth, but redo Burning Crusade, redo Wrath of the Lich King, refresh the entire level experience, because it gets redundant. And if it's not hard enough that people know they have to gear the character to progress with raiding or progress with PvP, it's even more daunting when you kind of realize, wow, I got to go do this for the 10th time, the 20th time, whatever it is. Even the 3rd or 4th time, it just gets so redundant, so
Story of my life.
Boring. And it would have been nice if they just kind of could have tweaked it a little. Instead of going the 8 yards, they should have went the whole 10 yards, and they should have done the whole thing. And, and they'll give you the typical, oh, we don't have the time, or we don't have the resources, song and dance.
Time, resource, okay. Yeah, you did it in Cataclysm, but you can't do it in other zones. Okay. Like, it's really that difficult to reapply freaking Warlords of Draenor pretty textures to Outland to at least make it look presentable, and then make it so that, hey, you get faster experience by doing quests in Outlands and Wrath of the Lich King and Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Just kind of streamline the process. All they had to do is just adjust. Instead of a quest giving you 18,000 experience, it gives you 26 or 24,000 experience. Ooh, such a big change.
Well, or not only that. I mean, let's you could take something like, the Isle of Quel'Danas, in BC, and you could just make it a quest zone. You know, like give
I would love that.
or you know, give people a choice of rather than go from A to B to C to D and be progressing and see the same old things. Just throw something in a little bit new. We're not talking 6 or 7 whole new zones, just one new fucking zone that you could bring it all through. It might actually make people and give people incentive to play the game to have that one new zone. Another thing is Wintergrass. No one knows it's there. No one knows why it's there. It's
Nobody
just
even goes
sitting there
there.
collecting dust. Nobody does it anymore. I mean, why not make that a quest zone? Why not make
that would be amazing.
a quest zone?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I don't understand. I mean, is it that much work? I don't think it is. I'm not a programmer. But, God, I mean, just to have that one little tweak, you know, I mean, and this is where they missed, and then they wonder why they lose 3 million subs. I mean, Tanin Jungle was supposed to initially be another zone to level in Draenor, which would have given us another choice, which would have made things less redundant and more fun. But instead, they decided, hey, let's scrap the whole idea of Farallon because we just don't have the time and resources to do it. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold back Tanin Jungle and make that the new Farallon. That's exactly what they did. I mean, now we see it in hindsight. That's why the whole Farallon thing was scrapped. It is just so obvious that you're skimping on the content. It was obvious in Catechism. It was more obvious in MOP. And now it's blatantly obvious. I mean, it's like, picture this. You go to a restaurant and you get like this 16-ounce steak, you know, fries. You get, you know, salad. You get, pitcher of beer or whatever. And it costs X amount of dollars. Now, instead of raising the price, what they start to do is the steak gets smaller. Now it's a 12-ounce steak, it's less fries, and there's no salad. Then all of a sudden, the steak gets even smaller. Now it's an 8-ounce steak. You know, they give you
sounds like my local Ruby Tuesdays.
Exactly.
Because they started doing that, and I hate it.
Exactly, and that's
actually a really good analogy. That's an extremely good analogy.
And I thought of that on the cup because I guess maybe I'm hungry, but but the point is that they're skimping on the content and they're charging the same $15 a month and they're pitching it as a full content and it's not. It really isn't. And that's why 3 million people disappear. And yeah, maybe the WoW token, I don't think it's going to promote growth. It might stabilize that number. But, you know, the fact is, this is a publicly traded company. And if these guys don't only deliver growth, but consistent growth that exceeds expectations, heads are going to roll. So, I mean, yeah, the parent company, Activision, is going to tolerate one bad quarter like they just released. Maybe 2. 3, heads are going to roll because the shareholders are not going to tolerate it. And when the shareholders start bitching and having meetings, which you never want them to do, heads are going to roll, you know, and then Mike Morheim and Chris Menson are going to be interviewing for a job, and the guy's going to say, okay, I see you killed Kel'Thuzad. Who the fuck is Kel'Thuzad? You know, I mean, you know, they're going to put that stuff on their resume because they're just so fucking clueless, you know.